Africa Science Dialogue, closing the gap between science and society.
Now, the United Nations General Assembly declared 2026 the International Year of the Woman Farmer. This is supposed to spotlight the underrated role of women in agriculture. As you might know, about 43% of all workers or the labor force in agriculture is women. But do we appreciate them enough? Now, in addition to that, about 11 years ago in 2015, United Nations General Assembly once again made a resolution to celebrate the International Day of Women and Girls in Science every year on the 11th of February, which happens to be this week we are in. It also falls in the week of Valentine's, and since we are going to be talking a lot about our wonderful ladies, and especially in STEM, so if you have your lady right there, you need to get her a rose stem, and I have Rose with me in studio, but I have two ladies here with me, a mentor and her mentee, and to my right I have Dr. Margaret Karembu, who is the director of ISA AfriCenter and is also the chair of the Africa Science Dialogue and the pioneering chair of the Open Forum on Agricultural Biotechnology in Africa. She's a mentor to many young, and some of them are actually getting old because she's been in the industry for long, men and women. And she's a senior level environmental science management specialist with extensive experience in technology transfer, environmental impact audits, and modern biotech applications on small scale agriculture, and so much more, because she's been in academia, she has been in administration, she has been in research, she's seen it all, and she has a lot to tell us about women who she has mentored, like one who is on my left today, Rose Okech, who is the Stewardship and Communications Associate in Agricultural Biotechnology at IITA. She supports responsible research, regulatory engagement, and capacity building across Africa, with strong focus on translating complex bioscience into clear, impactful messages. And she is an award fellow and so much more. And apart from being the mentee to one of the leading ladies in science in Kenya and all of Africa, she has a long story to tell. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
And like I said, Valentine's is around the corner. We won't be going there first, because first we want to think about the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, so specifically about science. Now, I came across this interesting quote by Francoise Bae, who is a virologist and the winner of the 2008 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Mm-hmm. She said, certain people, men of course, since let's insist on that, discouraged me, saying science was not a good career for women. That pushed me even more to persevere. I start with you, Dr. Karembu. Because you've been in this field for quite long, I would presume that you started out at a time when there were not as many women in STEM as there are right now.
Yeah.
What do you take of this quote about men discouraging women to join STEM courses? And what is it that made you join STEM, and how has the journey been generally?
Thank you, Peter, and it's a pleasure to be here with the Rus, my mentee. We have a lot to talk about, but let me first congratulate all the women, girls, and all those that are supporting women in science, technology, engineering,
and
mathematics, and even in the social sciences, because now we are getting to a level where we realize science is all about people, and so you need to bring the social sciences to understand better. And how I wish that that quote was made now, when we have such a deep understanding of the importance of women in science and the contributions they have made, because we have seen over time, right from motherhood. You start from there, motherhood, bringing up a baby, getting that baby up to a level where you can now stand and say, yeah, I brought up a man or a woman in this world. All that journey involves a lot of science. And so when you discourage women from getting into science, you're actually discouraging a whole generation from reaping the benefits of science, which would have been so much easier if a woman had actually gotten very good ground into science fields. Let me also say that becoming a scientist is not magic, and for me, my journey has been kind of not that smooth, but I came into science out of a difficulty I had as a village girl. I came from the village in my elementary or primary school, and I joined a city school, St. Teresa's Girls, and during those days, it's a Catholic school still up to today, but most of the girls were were Goans, and they had, of course, come from the city. So from the village, it was such a shocker because English language was not one of our main languages that we practiced over time. But when we came in, we realized, our English language was so kind of, do I say corrupted, or was just mixed up with mother tongue. And so there are some words that we could not pronounce. I come from the Mount Kenya region, so we have a problem with R, L, but in the village, nobody really cares. But when we came to the city, we would try to speak in the English classes, literature. You cannot express yourself well because by the time you finish a sentence, it is so mixed up, and the girls would all be laughing and bullying at you when you go for break. So we had these two teachers, our biology teacher and our mathematics teacher. And they realized that the girls, we were just a small percentage. That was a time when Ministry of Education was encouraging, village, girls from the rural areas to also join the city schools. So these two teachers, my biology teacher, may God continue keeping her because she's still there and she's my good friend. She's called Dorcas. And another one, mathematics teacher, a young girl. I think she had just come from college, because she came from Kenya Science Teachers College, where I ended up being, going to train as a teacher. They realized that the village girls are having big challenges in expressing themselves. So they held our hands, just about a handful of us. We were about 15, and they sat us down. They encouraged us. They told us, you know what, you don't even have to do English. If you do science, you go to mathematics, and you go to biology, chemistry, physics. There, it's logic and numbers. You don't have to talk to anyone, but you can excel because we can see that you have such great potential. So don't be worried about expressing yourselves. Just get ready to be in the labs, concentrate, and you will make it. And that holding, they held our hands, they encouraged us, they supported us, and that is what has sparked the spark in me for science. It started there, and it has never stopped.
Oh, that's interesting. I've had this discussion before with Rose, and just it wasn't in detail, but about why and how we keep on shepherding our boys towards science, and at the same time we are pushing our girls towards a very small corner of languages, and we do not really open up the sciences for the women. And of course, I know you have lofty goals, and nothing loftier than the Nobel Prize. As of 2025, over 25 women have won a Nobel Prize in scientific fields. But that is 25. But that is out of 650 or more. While it is something, I want to hear from you, because you're in a setup where there were boys and there were girls trying to pursue the same subjects in the same environment. Did you have this thing of feeling like the boys were being pushed with the sciences, and like that kind of made it difficult for you to get a foothold?
Well, I think for me, my story is different. And to a degree, I'd be thankful for the environment in which I was raised in. Much as right now, if you look world over, people will say the Kenyan woman is very emancipated. So I'm thankful to have an emancipated mother, and I'm also thankful to have been in that kind of a system. Growing up, I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters, so already it struck a balance. And in our mama's house, there were no gender roles. So it was not only the girls cooking. Thankfully, my brothers are older, so they were the ones cooking more than ourselves because we were the younger siblings. All my 3 brothers came first, then the girls followed. And for that reason, I knew nothing about gender roles then. Maybe I was shielded. It was a good thing, or a blessing in disguise, I'd say, because my brothers would do everything. And my mom would say, if you want to eat, you have to know how to cook. So whether you're a boy or a girl. So there were no gender roles in that house. Then again, thankfully, I went into a mixed high school. So I've never been in a space where it's fully women. Because for most girls at high school, that's where the disparity starts.
Yeah.
Because you're in an all-girls school and you will hear, this school is only good in languages because it's a girls' school. And given that I was raised in this setup where we could all do everything, I went into high school knowing I'm equal, if not better, than the boys here. So I competed with them the same way I competed with the girls. When it came to grades, when it came to sciences, there was no push specifically for the boys to do this or for the girls to do this. But one thing that our teachers did is constantly pit the boys against the girls. So we were constantly competing, whether it's in physics, whether it's in English, whether it's in mathematics. And that sort of shaped the space that I grew up in, or also shaped the trajectory of my career path. One other thing is that all my brothers are in STEM. My elder sister, who I follow, is also in STEM. I'm the fifth of six. So they are in engineering fields, energy fields, construction. But I loved biology. I loved all the sciences, which I studied, but I had a soft spot for biology because I had this thing about saving lives. So once upon a time, I thought I'd be a doctor, a medical doctor. But along the way, I realized I am too empathetic to be one. I'm not saying doctors are not empaths. That's not what I'm saying. But the fact that there's a possibility of death in this process, I realized I can't deal with it. So I told myself, if I'm going to research, you're dealing with cells, you're dealing with that kind of thing. So that's how I got myself in the biotechnological space.
Okay.
Yes.
And before you come to the details of that, Dr. Karembu, because she's spoken about how she got mentorship from home, she has siblings she can look up to in science, and you've spoken about your teacher very fondly. And your journey seems to have been inspired from that point of view. What is the importance of mentorship in STEM, and especially for young girls, and how different is it if a lady scientist, a veteran lady scientist like yourself, is mentoring young girls as opposed to a male scientist?
Very, very, very important. Let me also just talk a little bit about my family background.
Okay.
I was born in a family of 10, and 8 of us, number 1 to 8, are girls.
Okay.
So we for us, my father, God rest his soul, he never differentiated, he never showed any bias that he's getting girls until, of course, our last borns, 9 and 10, are the boys. And so for us, my father always used to tell us, there's nothing that boys can do that you cannot do.
Okay.
He used to so I think the importance of family mentorship starts with the family. So we grew up knowing that we can become mechanics, we can become anything that a boy can. And what I also really value about the way my father brought us up is he had a lot of pressure, of course, from the village, like bringing girls to the city. Why are you bringing girls to the city? Let them be here. After all, they can farm, they can help you with the coffee, because I come from a coffee growing region. But my father said he's going to educate his girls. They should leave him alone. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. These are his children, and he's going to look after them. So anyway, so basically, mentorship starting from family is very important. And I would encourage both fathers and mothers to really hold their children together as far as encouraging them to do science is concerned. Because science is about life. Science is about the way we interact with nature, the way we think through how the lots of innovations that are all over the place. And we need to inculcate that inquisitive, investigative mind very early in a child, because that is the way a child then will become, whether a boy or a girl, will become the great scientist would like. So that is one. Then the second one is about supporting the teachers in schools, because sometimes they may harbor biases without knowing, unconscious biases, that because it's a woman, it's a man, teacher, they may also have those stereotypic, thoughts, but they don't even realize that they are impacting that to the pupils and to the students. And so we need to consciously bring that out from the teaching fraternity. When you're teaching, you need to ensure teachers are aware of those unconscious biases that can impact or can affect how students choose their subjects, their subject areas. Then thirdly, of course, becoming a role model, because the role modeling starts from teachers. If you have a mathematics teacher and he or she is always harsh, when you get something wrong, the way that you are reprimanded is in such a way that it degrades the persona in you as a child, the child starts hating mathematics. And mathematics is the basis of all sciences. So it would be good that we have policies and programs that teach teachers beyond the teaching or the training of the teachers themselves about how to model students into STEM.
Yeah.
That is very, very key. And then, of course, society. For society, for communities, the way society looks at women, things have changed. I can say they are changing positively because society has started appreciating the importance of educating girls, and they can see the value. They can see the benefits of having an educated mother in a family, because then you are able to treat your children equally and support them to get to the courses that they would like, whether they are sciences or arts. But community needs to also be enlightened. The awareness programs on some of these biases that are in the communities. Again, you go to a chief, maybe the chief is a man, he already looks down upon the woman who is struggling, who has been maybe even abused at home because of struggling to get their girl child to school. And that way, it can really help in getting more and more girls to take STEM. Yeah.
Which is why I think at the time, probably your dad was ahead of his time, because I would imagine the societal pressure. Because I also come from the same place where, if you have so many girls and you are technically kind of looking for a boy, because you feel like he's the one who will do those hard things that you want done in your family. But then there's one more thing. Once we push these girls or we encourage them to join STEM, what are we doing when they're transitioning to industry? Are we supporting them enough, or do we just want them to get degrees? Because look at this. The women in STEM in Kenya are between 11 and 25%. But female enrollment in STEM courses in the university are between 22% and 30%. So it means there are some girls who are getting lost in between enrollment in tertiary education and the job market. So where are we going wrong in that transition? Where are we messing up? To you?
Well, I would want to think that, there are jobs that society sees as a reserve for women. So if I studied a degree in STEM, I am looking for a job and the job market is also very friendly, I'll go become a receptionist somewhere, at a hospital, at a law firm, wherever, because so long as I have my degree in science, they know, okay, this one will still do this job well enough. So I think the fact that there's a reserve of certain jobs that are still seen as, that are still gendered generally, it gets people going into those spaces. I have seen people I went to school with going into fields that are not relatable to, the studies that we took up. So there's a bit of a disparity on that front that I would say is because of the job market, but at the same time it's also because of these roles that are seen as gendered. I don't think I've ever gone into any building and met a male receptionist. Maybe one. I think one.
Yeah.
If I think through.
Yeah.
So you'd find most people will study and go do other jobs because that's what's available.
Okay.
And just from, I'd like to echo what Margaret was saying about the role of the family in mentoring. I remember the first time I heard the word mediocrity. I was in, I think, primary school. And it was from my father. And he told me he does not entertain mediocrity. I don't remember what happened, but he told me. I didn't even understand what it meant. So we didn't have Google back then. So I went and got my dictionary to read. And since that day, after I understood what it meant, I told myself I will also not entertain mediocrity. So in that direction, I realized for everything that I set myself to do, no settling for mediocre.
Yeah.
And in the process, since you're talking about mentorship, looking up at women like Margaret, I first joined the CG space 10 years back. I mean, it's been a long ride. And I remember just, looking at her from a distance, it's like the way, I don't know, maybe you're a man, you can tell us, you first admire a girl from a distance before you go hit on her. So I used to look at her and I'm like, it's quite impressive.
It's Valentine's,
Yeah, it's Valentine's. So it was quite impressive. I'd look at what Margaret is doing. I'd just read about her. Sometimes, back then we didn't have proper profiles for people, so you wouldn't do much stalking. And my current boss, Dr. Tripathi, quite impressive looking at the kind of work she does, world renowned. And I was like, if they can do it, why can't I? And I'd just tell myself they definitely did not settle for mediocrity. So that has been like sort of my guiding force. And talking about mentorship, I mean, it's more than an honor to be honestly mentored by ladies. Because much as, yes, it is important for the men to drive the mentorship path as well, I feel when it's a woman mentoring, it is more relatable. We can discuss other problems that do not affect the men ever. If I was having a bad day because I was ovulating, if I come and tell Margaret, oh, today I struggled with this because of this, she can understand.
She'll understand you, yeah.
For you might look at it like, oh, you have this every month. Why is it a problem? Why are you fussing about
Why
it?
aren't you ready?
Exactly. So I think there are parts that can only be walked by women.
Yeah.
And on the mentorship aspect, I think I would call on more women to hold other women's hands. So for me, I would say I am happy to be standing on the shoulders of other women to get to become what I am.
Yeah. And before I come to you about the burden that the African woman sometimes probably has to go through, in line with what she said, I picked up a quote here by a scientist called Princess Nisreen Al-Hashmite, who said, "We celebrate the achievement of women, known and unknown, remembered and forgotten, who have forged the way for those of us in science today, and to give an opportunity for children, girls and boys to choose role models in science, specifically women, whether we remember or we forget them." Because definitely, like you say, I think you feel like you relate with something. If the person who is doing it is somebody who's like you, who has some similarity with you, feel I can also do it. But I feel, do you think that Africa still, in the 21st century, burdens women with responsibilities that probably they should have left behind, because we feel like she was saying some things are very gendered? Is such a way that we do not recognize if you are supposed to be doing something else to advance research, while women just march headlong without responsibilities for us. For example, you have to go into motherhood, and apart from the fact that, of course, you have to do your maternity leave and whatever, I feel like you have a responsibility to be there more than I have, even beyond that period where the baby is very needy. And I feel like you're being irresponsible and you're abandoning your duty by doing what I should be doing while you should be sat home and stuff like that. There's this very infamous "women belong in the kitchen" kind of quote. Do we still have some of those stereotypes that still hold the woman back? And if we do, because I would assume we still do in Africa, how do we defeat them?
Yeah, that's a heavy one, Peter, and you are right on in the observation about how the workplace can also shape how women transition from college, university to the workplace. Because I remember this male boss one time, we were just interacting, and he made a comment, but I reprimanded him later that, I don't like employing these young girls because before then, they are going on maternity leave, they are going where they are not stable emotionally, So saying that already we also have biases in the workplaces. And so we also need, there are so many areas that we need to improve on and work on. Because again, some of those might just make those comments, sweeping comments, without even realizing that I'm also a woman. I have daughters. I have 2 daughters. Fortunately, they are also in STEM, and I'm very happy about that. My granddaughter would love to be in STEM as well. And when Rose was talking about how she did her observations, I'm like, oh my God. So just do your best. You never know who you are impacting, because I had never known that there is anyone. Well, I was just doing my work. Science communication is my passion. And so just hearing Rose making that testimony, that even before she came to ask me formally, she had already looked, studied, and seen, yeah, this is a person. It makes me feel really happy. I'm so encouraged, and I would like to encourage others to also hold themselves well, so that we can encourage and become role models of other upcoming young scientists, because the world needs women scientists.
Yes.
Why? One of the things that I feel that it is so important for women to be in STEM is, women have an eye for finer details. I'm not saying that men engineers, men doctors are not.
No, that's actually true.
You know?
What you're saying is actually true.
Exactly. And so we'll be losing out, the world will be losing out on so much more, so many other discoveries that would have been done, because a woman looks at something very, differently from a man. That's biology.
It's true.
It's known,
true. Yeah.
the things, and I note it even in the house. There are some things I can note, even in the food or in, something, but the others will not do it. And so we need to really make sure that we get more women. We improve on the workspaces for women. Like, I know some organizations have even created, spaces for baby care, getting someone, the women, you don't have to stay at home until the baby is 1 year to go to a baby class. They can come into school. Breastfeeding zones where women can breastfeed, because again, the employer may feel, oh, the woman will take so much time going back home to breastfeed. No, you don't have to.
Yeah.
I can bring my baby, and I've seen young women, and I really admire those bosses, that administrators and managers and leaders who are encouraging young girls to come with their babies, to create an environment that the workplace is really, really conducive for mother and child, because you're also growing another STEM expert. And guess what? Even just by observing, the children also observe a lot. And those observations, seeing how the mother is sacrificing, then they also aim, or they wish to be. That's one. The other component is about the kind of networks that men and women have. You see, for men, there's always these old boys clubs, and you go out there after work, you're going to meet someone in the golf club or in some other social place. But it is difficult for the woman, because the woman has multiple roles. I'm here as a scientist, I'm in the lab, and then I know 5-6 reaches. I'm looking at my experiments and wondering, will I be done by 5? Because I have kids to receive from school. I need to work with them for their homeworks and all that. And so I may not benefit from those clubs, the boys' clubs that that men have. And so creating a day like the International Women's Day, International Day of the Woman Farmer, or International Day for women and girls in STEM is actually one of the ways in which is helping in creating those networks. Because during this time, you showcase, you spotlight women who are doing well in STEM, and others are being inspired, where you could not do it in a club or a golf club. The other important thing is about just women supporting each other, to hold each other's hands. Because again, Rose has rightly said, when you mentor a woman, you're mentoring a generation. The men should support those kind of efforts and provide some space for the women. If I say that I'm going for my Chama group, I'm going, it's part of mentoring.
Right.
And, I know some men who have difficulty in even just releasing their,
and actually,
their wives or their they're girls.
If I cut you short, why? Why do you think men have a problem with supporting these things? Because we actually kind of do.
And
generally.
Yeah, I guess it's the patriarchal way of the African culture, for example, the way that men are supposed to be very protective. They're supposed to and men are ideally very happy when they see women just around in the house.
It's a control thing.
It's a control thing, exactly. It's a control thing, and it is still happening up to today. There are some families you go and you interact with, and you can feel the kind of oppression that the girls and the women in that household go through in the hands of the same people who are supposed to be encouraging. So again, it's a wake-up call for our men. Let's continue supporting our women, our girls, because when you have an empowered woman in STEM, you have something so valuable that you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah, I hear you. And do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to that, the aspect of women chairmans and the people who refuse to allow for their women to go for this. I think if you're an oppressor, thinking that this person could get any sort of enlightenment is a threat to you. So probably, maybe I should tell those men, if you feel threatened, if you feel threatened by your woman's success, you need to think twice about your masculinity. Because in all honesty, what you will hear is, oh, those women are going to just gossip there. If this gossip is going to help me build my business, why is it a problem? But when you are going to hang out with your boys, isn't that gossip?
Yeah.
When you're watching the news, in fact, gossip runs the world, because the news is just gossip in a formal way, right? So I think it's more about control. And like Margaret said, let's just let women be and support them in their journeys henceforth.
Yeah. Men, we need to style up. Now, there's you are an educator and you've been at this for very long, so you might know that in our high schools, there are compulsory subjects in the old system that's now being phased out, and what's the other compulsory and optional subjects. And among if you look at a majority of the boys' schools, of a majority of the girls' schools, physics is not compulsory. Sometimes biology is not. Of course, the theory in a lot of schools is, and I'm not saying that is wrong in any way, but the boys' schools I interacted with, for example, like my high school, all the sciences were compulsory. Do you feel like the curricula could also do better to help girls, because if already they have there's the biases already, there are the stereotypes already, and then you tell the girl child who has had that physics is difficult that you can actually drop this physics freely. You can pick. Do you feel like there's something that could be done to kind of equalize things, and so they can actually attempt it before they think that, well, I heard it's difficult, so it is?
Peter, you are again right on in terms of us being products of a system, because a system shapes the way communities, the way the way other systems run, and it is so unfortunate that in this day and age we can even think about phasing out mathematics as a compulsory subject and biology. Why? Because once you can't understand the arithmetic, the numbers, even for the social sciences, you become a poor business person. You become, your estimations are always, they are not accurate. And so mathematics is the basis of STEM. Let me start from there. And so we'd encourage the education system, the curriculum developers, that there should never be a time. It sounded like a very bad dream to me. When I listened and I heard that, mathematics is not going to be compulsory. No way.
Yeah.
Now, then when you look at the disparities between the boys and the girls' schools, and even between rural schools and what you call the middle level schools, it is so unfortunate that we can expect to strengthen STEM, and yet we are not addressing the inequalities in our school system. Schools without labs, schools without any basic anything that would help create that inquisitive mind of a child. That's a disgrace. And when thinking about getting into a middle or highly industrialized country, we really must think about how we improve on our schools, because that is the basis upon which you develop the engineer, the
Yes.
doctor, the scientist, the biologist, the ecologist. And if we are not able to address that, then we'll continue disadvantaging ourselves, because there's no country in the world today that calls itself developed country that did not do that on the platform of science, technology, and innovation. That is the basis upon which you are able to take off. Look at the space science, space science. That's what we are now, looking at for many of the developing countries.
Yeah.
Look at the minerals and the ores, the explorations that we need to do. All that depends on science. So the kind of we need to be careful about our use of words, because there are certain words. Oh, mathematics is very difficult. Oh, science, physics is so difficult. It's for the boys. Oh, girls go to biology. Biology is very good, of course, and I've seen more and more girls getting into biology. I love biology. We need to do more. Chemistry is also another subject. Engineering, and so the use of our language. We need to be mindful how we express the ease or difficulty of doing things, so that these subjects are not stigmatized right at a very early age, and then children feel like, after all, my father says, oh, I got a fail in mathematics. So even if you did get a fail, which is maybe unfortunate, you either didn't get a good teacher or the environment was not conducive, don't discourage your children. As a man, don't discourage your girls from doing those subjects that are going to provide the engine of development for our country and for the family.
And the physical sciences actually continue to suffer for lack of girls, because my class, we had 50 students and four were girls.
Only four girls.
46.
Yeah.
What?
46 boys at the University of Nairobi. That's a story for another day. Asking from the point on mathematics being removed altogether from the curriculum was a proposal that had been made here in Kenya some time back. It was highly debated because, of course, you can see that's not a good proposal. Anyway, as we go along, now I would ask from a naive point of view, as a layman out there, according to the World Economic Forum, women make up only 28.2% of all the STEM global workforce, but 47.3% of non-STEM fields. That's nearly half. I don't know if it's only in engineering. Say if it's not broken, if it's working, don't fix it. I will ask as a layman. Well, it's working that way. So why are we thinking of changing things or turning things around?
Maybe I'd ask you what's working.
Well, the world is moving,
Well, it's moving, but even when you're walking with crutches, you're still moving. But if you could fix that foot
Fair
and
enough.
let you walk without the crutches, you would move better.
Okay.
So we have to think about not reinventing the wheels, but greasing them.
Okay.
Because we have crickety wheels, or are they called rickety wheels? We need to find a way to oil the wheels. Margaret told us there are finer details that you might not grasp. Maybe if Boeing had more women, they would not have the lawsuits they have. Don't quote me. Maybe. Who knows? So, we have to look at all these things.
Yeah.
Yes, the men are doing things. They are doing amazing things. And don't we love our men? We do. We are not trying to phase them out, but we are just trying to get into these spaces and even if not do the actual work. If you have the woman play the supervisory role, she'll be like, this bit is missing.
Yeah.
So we need to look at synergistic points for both men and women. True. It's not women coming to replace the men who are doing these jobs. No. It is missing out on the talents, on the capabilities that could have been. So it's more about the what if.
Okay.
Yeah.
If today, if there was a man who was given my position in 2016 when I joined the institute that I work for, they would maybe not have a science communicator sitting here, because I started in the lab I saw women who are very inspiring, and I thought, oh, we have a bit of a gap in our program. And since I understand the science and I'm very passionate about communication, which again, as you say, they say language is for women. I am happy that I have the language as a woman and I have the science that was built in me. And I'm able to put this together into something quite, prolific.
Yeah.
You have seen what Margaret has done with science communication. If she were to tell her story from 10, 20 years back, you'd be like, oh, are you serious? Is that what people thought about biotech? Is that what people thought about scaling of some of these technologies?
Yeah.
So we have to look at what is being brought to the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so things are working, but they could be better.
It's not optimal.
Can I get up close and personal? When you live as a bachelor in your house, you are still eating. But when you bring a woman in that house, you become a bit fatter, eh?
Happens.
Because you are still eating, but how come you've gotten a bit of weight?
Yeah.
Because you're eating better.
Yeah.
So do you want to eat better?
Well, the same women are more pragmatic anyway, and I agree with that 100%. I see exactly where you're coming from. And coming back to you, Dr. Margaret, do you think that women who merit positions are denied because of, in Africa, and in STEM specifically, for other reasons, such as stereotypes, as is right now?
Yes, we have seen, if you go for an interview, as I said earlier, the mind of man will be saying, I'll be giving maternity leave, I'll be giving offs for many other biological issues that women may have. And so it's a delicate balance, and I really admire the men who really support and engage women, regardless of their age, regardless of all those other baggage, because there is actually no baggage, because that's a God-given right of procreation. And so we have to do it. And I believe our women are doing it very well. Women are multitaskers. They multitask. A woman will be breastfeeding and she's looking at her test tubes and finding out whether the mixtures, the solvent and the solutes have dissolved, and she'll still bring up a good experiment. And so what am I saying? The way we are God created men and women, we are supposed to complement one another. And so if you want to complement, then you have to embrace. So let us embrace women in the workplace. If those opportunities, for example, in leadership positions, we need to have more women scientists in leadership. And it is not difficult. Sometimes they say, how do you bring a scientist to be a leader? No. We have just developed there's those courses, the critical skills that are really needed in leadership, like negotiating, team building, bringing together multicultural, multi-gendered communities in the workforce, in the workplaces. These are things that can be built. So not just the science, the scientist, the hard scientist, but you can build on these leaderships. So we need more opportunities, women scientists getting more opportunities to do science communication, because that is where then you learn, you get to be a good leader, and it will not matter. And when women are leaders in an organization, you'll notice that they never discriminate. They will take men and women. Sometimes if ISA is anything to go by, what's the ratio of men to women? Anyway, don't worry, we can calculate that, but now you know. So that discriminatory nature of some of the leaders in various corporations should actually be addressed to ensure that you don't discriminate the women. When it comes to providing the opportunities, again, the men tend to get those opportunities faster, because I said they are in these clubs, in those golf clubs, and that's when they say, oh, by the way, there's this opportunity somewhere. So you already have an upper hand in a position that is going to be somewhere when I'm cooking for you.
Yeah.
When you come, of course, you'll not tell me that there is that opportunity if you feel like we can compete. But by and by, we need to provide those spaces. We need to have also men being role models so that they can also encourage other men to embrace a critical generation that we are losing out by not getting them in the workplaces, so that you can benefit from the talent, the competency, and the keenness of a woman. Yeah.
And as you can already see, just before you go there, Dr. Margaret is a very good mentor, because Rose initially discovered Dr. Margaret as a scientist and desired to be a scientist as well. And now, as a communicator, and you also chose to be a communicator, she's one of the finest science communicators we have in this country. So, yes, you are to make a point.
No, actually, again, I think this mentor-mentee relationship works well, because I just want to echo what she just said about men's key role in mentoring. And I want to give more like a personal story. When I was in my undergraduate, so this is exactly maybe a year and some months before I joined IITA, the first person to ever show me I'm capable of leadership was my supervisor during my attachment. And this is something that he did. I don't know if he knows this, but every single day I'm able to be put forward to do something, I still remember him. His name was George. If George is ever going to watch this, just know you're the George. So what he did, I was on attachment, and attachees don't get payment because they feel whatever service you're getting there is being paid by you learning.
And tea and mandazi.
So they're teaching you. No, not tea and mandazi. This is in government, remember. Okay. No tea and mandazi. It's just, you just show up and do the work and go home. Yeah. They're paying you by the experience, by the, what do they call it?
Yeah, the
apprenticeship or something like that.
Yeah, experiential learning.
So this time it was a water quality laboratory I was working in. So we were doing all these sorts of analysis and that kind of thing, and just developing reports, water quality reports. So one time he had a meeting. I hope I'll not put him in trouble by telling this story. He had a meeting, I think, at the World Bank. And then there was another meeting, I think either with African Development Bank and UNICEF. No, not UNICEF, UN Habitat. So he told me, I trust your capabilities. And you see, that is also mentorship, because he saw something in me that I could not see in myself then. I was just but an attachee. And he told me, okay, so what you will do, because you're the one who prepared these reports, I will need you to go into this meeting and present them, and you are also going to train the service providers. And he told me, you know what, don't just say you're an attachee, just say you're a consultant. So I went there. I was tiny. I mean, nowadays I'm a mom, so I have a bit of flesh. I was very petite. And I went there, and I remembered somebody believes in me. And I remembered no mediocrity, what my father kept telling me. Mm-hmm. So I went, and I was there training people, like a senior consultant. But I think I was 21 years old. So after all the training, and I bet I did well, because everyone kept asking me, how do you have all this information and you're this young? How long have you worked in this space? I'm remembering I've been on attachment for just 2 months. But that awakened something in me.
Yeah.
It told me that even if I am young, I can do it. So it was not about my age, but my capabilities can still be amplified regardless. Yeah. So men play a critical role. Maybe just like you said about the women who are forgotten, for a minute I forgot the man who mentored me. But yes, I think it is extremely important for men to do that, because other people, when they tell you their stories of attachment, it will be, oh, I was sexually harassed, or the men made inappropriate comments. And maybe those are the reasons some women, after graduating, decide, oh, this is not the kind of field for me, if I have to deal with all this. Yeah. So yes, the men play a very critical role also in still shaping the direction ahead.
Okay. For the men who are doing a good job in science, I'll receive your flowers ahead of Valentine's as well. So now, you wanted to make a comment regarding that?
Just to say that, in the science fields, of course, it's very close and personal, because if somebody has to come and bend over you to do, when you're doing an experiment, sometimes the nature of the experiments demand that somebody has to be very close to you. But, just removing and creating that consciousness that you are close to me as a man to this young girl doesn't mean that your other instincts start getting awakened. We are in a workplace. You are a mentor. If you are a mentor, you are a mentor, and so sexual harassment should be, completely out of the way when the men are mentoring the girls, because it requires, sometimes you are holding a test tube together, and then imaginations of the mind can come by, and so again, emphasizing that we need to create safe spaces for women as well when they are doing their experiments, when they are doing their engineering, so that they also feel safe. Because if I feel unsafe, then I may not even manage that task. If a man is the one mentoring the women, they need to be aware that there are certain things that they should not comment on. Sometimes it's just a comment. Being positive, just using the right words can encourage more and more girls to really pursue STEM-based courses. It's just in the word. You're told you're useless, or why did you break a test tube? You are just a useless being. That gets into your mind. Imagine being called hopeless, useless. Those are words that we should really lose. And those are also words that I really fight in science communication, because the same way you portray science when you're communicating to non-technical audiences is the same way they start judging whether they would really want to even encourage their children to do it or not. So use the right language, understand who you're speaking to. In science communication, say understanding your audience. Is it young, as a young generation? Is it lactating mothers, and you are here talking very negative things about breastfeeding? Is it about nutrition, and you have these fatty girls and you're making fun about it? So there are jokes that can come in, but be very mindful. It's important to be mindful of the language you use if you are truly a mentor and you're going to encourage more girls in the sciences. Yeah.
That is spoken from wearing the hats of a mentor, a scientist, and a mother. I love it. So now, as we come to a conclusion, the United Nations has been looking at how we can close this gender gap. So after all is said and done, the hurdles, the opportunities, what should be done, what shouldn't be done, is it realistic? Are we going there?
I think the hope is still there.
Okay.
And not just the hope, but I think work is being done. If I am anything to go by, I think I am living proof. I have, so recently, just like Margaret said, she's actually happy to hear that I have been eyeing her for some time. Recently, somebody told me, you're my role model. And I was like, me? I in fact held my head like I just did. I was like, me. Because sometimes we don't realize that we are also stewards of science just by how we exist, how we behave. So in this kind of space, if Margaret holds my hand, I make sure to hold my colleague's hand and somebody else's hand. I make sure to hold other kids' hands. I'll tell you a funny story of before I formally got into science communication. The kids in our apartment block used to think I'm a school-going child. So every time they would come and knock my door and ask me to go play with them. But they know I have a child, but in their mind they do not register. So they would call me Mama, my son's name, and they'd be like, come play with us. But I would always go and play with them. So one time another child asked me, what grade are you in? So I tell him, well, I'm not in any grade, I'm actually a scientist. And they were like, oh, that's cool, so what do you do? So, do you know what we started doing? In our games, we started doing DNA extraction. The way you'd use soap and ethanol and just crush some mangoes and do that. And they would see the strands. They don't understand it, but they can see. And every day I would sort of try and explain to them the way you have Lego blocks. then DNA is also building blocks for anything that's living, whether it's plants, whether it's animals, whether it's... So in my own little way, I am building science champions for the future.
Yeah.
You know, they're like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, some up to 10 years old. But I feel not even light at the end of the tunnel. Within the tunnel, there are some flashlights within this tunnel. So we are in the right path. There are still disparities depending on economic status. We've heard of the disparities between rural schools and the middle income schools. All these biases still exist, but the hope is still there. If Margaret came from a coffee growing village, not speaking very proper English, to be the kind of communicator she is, heck, who else can't do this? Who can't do it? I mean, I wouldn't tell that you struggled with English at some point in this life.
Goodness.
You know,
Talking about chat and chat. You know, for us in the village, a chat is a chat. We are wearing a chat. Oh, you speak like that, and everybody laughs, and you are quelled. You don't know what to do.
Right.
But modeling. Yeah.
Exactly. And the fact that the world has literally now become a global village thanks to technology and this kind of thing. I've had people ask me sometimes, did you school in the US? I'm like, no, I'm a pedigree Kenyan, born and bred. Because people want to assume, oh, if you grew up in an African setting, you went to school in an African setting, there's a very specific way that they expect you to be. They expect you to be caged up in some way. But thank God that we have this kind of exposure now. And yes, somebody might be disadvantaged because of a few circumstances here and there. But even for that child in the village somewhere, Margaret came to the city and she made it. So it was tough, but who said it's gonna be easy?
Yeah,
it never is.
Of course. If it's easy, then it means it's for everybody.
They say easy come, easy go.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was tough, but you did it. So I want to speak to all the young girls out there.
Yes.
And,
combine that with your parting shots.
Oh yeah, okay. So I think to the young girls out there, and even the girls who are my age or older, let me call them the girlies. That's what I call them on my LinkedIn.
Okay,
so to the girlies and the women and all the men and all the men who support us, I want to say that there is hope, and there is not just hope, but there is a chance for every young girl to thrive. The odds might be against you, but if you can carry motherhood and still do your job, you've heard that most men will leave the work to their women and then go to the office to do the work. For the women, we still carry all this and still soldier on. The kind of resilience that God has put in women is unmatched. Not to water down the perspective of the men, but just to tell the girls that it is possible, it can be done. It is being done by other women. So hold on to the hem, even if you cannot touch, if you can't hold the hands, as you crawl down there, hold on to the hem of the women that you feel are your guiding light. And I am very sure as night follows day, that any woman who has grown to a certain level, me included, will be very happy to guide you along your path. When I asked Margaret, I know she's so busy, can you please be my mentor for the award fellowship, which I'm a fellow for? She said yes. I thought she wouldn't, because she has her plate overflowing, not just full, but she did. And Margaret had said, I'm extremely thankful. Extremely thankful.
We still need to create more time.
Well, we are doing well.
Yeah,
and we'll still do better. I mean, we're in this space. How many award mentors have been in a podcast with their mentees?
I mean, it's
I'm
a
joking.
big one. I'm honored to be here myself. So, thank you. And as you combine with the possibilities that we have with your parting shots, looking at your camera.
Yeah, there are three things that I would really want to point out now that we are celebrating women, and what actions can be taken. There is some good move, but there is one component that I still feel disadvantages women in the way the scholarships are given out and awarded. Most of the times you say, girls, women under 30 or women under 35 are particularly encouraged to apply. But look at the biological cycle of a woman. between 25 and 35, that's when you're getting your babies, that's when you're getting married, that's when you are really, really busy. And so you lose out on those opportunities just because those who are meant, policies that restrict the age that women should go for their PhDs, for their masters, instead of encouraging more women, they're actually discouraging the very able women. Because I reach out, whenever I get those kind of calls, I reach out to women and say, oh, I have a small baby, what can I do? And that time I have a young hot man here, how do I just leave him alone here and go out maybe UK or US and wherever? So I would like to make a call for all funders. If you're funding women scientists, and you want to bridge that gap, please expand the range of women. A woman at 50 is just as fresh to study as a girl, a woman at 25. And so that difference, that age limit makes a big difference. It discourages women to get into science, because again, if you're going out of the country and you don't have child support or you don't have family support, it becomes very difficult. So again, encouraging more funders to think of a woman scientist as an entity, not an individual, because I have to carry myself, my husband, my children, one or two maybe, so that I can concentrate in my studies if I get that scholarship. So consider that not as a waste, not as a luxury, but a package that can really encourage more women to be in the science space. The second aspect is about validation. And I just like Rose, I suffer the same. Sometimes people ask, oh, where did you go for your PhD? You must have gone to the US or to the UK, or I did all my 3 degrees in Kenya. And I'm a pure breed of Kenyatta University. Thank you, Kenyatta University, for mentoring me and bringing me to this level. I have a lot of respect to people who go out, and it is good. There are good opportunities. But look at it this way: why would I be validated from let's say from the West? Why would somebody think that I'm not as good just because I didn't go outside the country? And these are actually discriminatory issues that some employers look at. Oh, this one has never gone beyond the village. Okay, at least I went beyond the village. I came to the city, so I'm no longer. But I have a lot of respect, and I am very much in touch with my village. Whenever I get a chance, I always try to get those girls and to talk to them. So validation is important for women in science, and we should not be judged based on which school you went to, because there's so much struggle, or which university you went to. Here, I'm a global citizen like any other. My brain is no different from one that is in the US or wherever, in the UK, any developed country. But of course, opportunities. The third component I want to talk about is the way the government, the policymakers, the policy-making process, and trying to make their affirmative actions in politics to get more women in parliament. Why can't we also have affirmative action in some of these, in leadership of big organizations and big parastatals and big agencies in Kenya? If you look at the number of women scientists who are heading these institutions, there are very few. It's very small. You have just talked about, is it 20-25%? So even at that level, let's have a kind of affirmative action to encourage more, because we have competent women, but sometimes they may not come out because, again, the confidence levels for women, because of the way we have been brought up, may not be as strong as for the men. So you'll always find that men will tend to get those bigger positions, and when women will deputize, or they'll be in some other directorship. We want to see more women scientists in that leadership, and the way to do it is to build the confidence of our women. So women out there who are in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, I want to encourage all of you. You can do it. Believe in yourself. There is so much power within and among us. Bring it out by building your skills in communicating science better, get to know how you pitch your ideas, pitch your competency to any level of leadership so that we can be recognized. For the young girls, again, don't be discouraged because of the situation you might be in. If you're in the rural areas, get yourself somewhere, get yourself other peers that you can learn from. And by the way, why can't government think about, or policymakers think about mobile labs? If it is so difficult to build the formal structures, I know countries like Malaysia, countries like Singapore, that we are now, Kenya, Singapore, that's another story. They have these mobile labs, and they move around schools, and children are able to interact with the cells, with all these reagents, and by the time they are getting into the exam room, they have at least been in a lab. Can I tell you that there are children who go to do their senior school, the Kenya Certificate of Education, secondary education, without having stepped in a lab. Compare that child in the rural area with those children who are in Alliance, who are in the top-notch schools or even in the private schools. Let us not put limits to ourselves, guys. We can do it. There are very many areas we can improvise. It doesn't have to be that heavy, expensive equipment for you to do good science. There's a lot of, we have creative minds. We have our Jua Kali there. If you bring them into a lab and show them some of the equipment that we use, they can fabricate. Let us utilize the opportunities we have among ourselves, Kenyans, and in Africa, so that we can make science matter for us. Because again, I repeat, there is no country in the world that has ever developed without strengthening and embracing science, technology, and innovation, and that is all STEM. So let's get moving. We can do it. Let's not put limits where they should not be.
Okay, that's it. Now, where it's taken deliberate efforts to actually disenfranchise women, it will take deliberate effort to bring them about once again. There is, of course, historical injustices, of course, stereotypes that never seem to end, and we know them as much as our ladies here know them. And of course, we could have this discussion for a very, very long time, because women have very pertinent issues that need to be addressed, and it should be men for women and women for women, because here we are looking at an already disadvantaged kind of demographic. And men, as you've heard, you can do better. You can do better. I think I do well myself, but I'll also try to do better.
Some are doing very well.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a product of men who have supported me all through, from my father, from my husband, from my children. They have always supported me, and the circle around me has always supported me.
A community of support.
A community of support. Building a community of support.
Okay.
Very, very important.
I think especially on having a supportive partner, it's extremely important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because sometimes those motherhood duties
Are
fall
extremely
in place, and you need to travel for a conference. If your partner is not supportive and say, I'll step up on my role, oh my God,
You lose
you
out
just
on the
cancel on
opportunity.
those trips.
Yeah.
You lose on opportunities. So
Yeah.
I think a supportive partner is also very key.
Very, very key.
okay.
Yeah.
We
Support us,
yeah.
and we have thriving families.
We're heading to Valentine's. That's when we start seeing if they're being supportive. If they don't bring flowers home, of course, we know they're not. Thank you very much, my guest on the Africa Science Dialogue, for this important discussion as we celebrate the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Rose Okech, Stewardship and Communications Associate. Is it Stewardship and Communication Associate in Agricultural Biotechnology? And like she said, she's an award fellow and part of a Pan-African network strengthening women's leadership in agricultural research and development. And Dr. Margaret Karembu, who is our priceless director at ISA Afri Center and also the chair of the Africa Science Dialogue. And if you bring out here the women and also the men that she has mentored who are in science, of course, you're going to have enough to vote for a winning president in any country in Africa. She's done a lot. Thank you for joining us for this discussion today. Thank you very much, ladies, for creating your time. You're looking beautiful. I didn't carry those flowers today, but of course, over the weekend, we'll see what we can do about that. Thank you very much for watching this. This is the Africa Science Dialogue. My name is Peter Theory. See you next time.
Africa Science Dialogue, closing the gap between science and society.